Chapter 3. In this chapter, we're going to talk about demand and supply. Demand and supply are very basic tools that we use in economics. You need to know the law of demand, which is an inverse relationship between price and quantity demanded, holding everything else fixed. In the case of demand, we put price on the vertical axis and quantity on the horizontal axis, and this inverse relationship is represented by a downward sloping demand. Now, one thing which is important and you need to pay attention to is the difference between change in quantity demanded versus change in demand. If price changes, if you have change in price, that will cause change in quantity demanded. And we're going to show this by a movement along the curve. Let's say price is $10 and quantity is 20. If price increases to $12, quantity demanded will drop to 15. And we're going to show this by moving along the curve. But in addition to price, there are other factors that will determine demand, such as income, population, taste and preferences. Change in those factors will be represented by shifting the curve, and we call that change in demand. So make sure you pay attention to this, because this usually creates a lot of confusion at the beginning when you take economics. So change in price will cause change in quantity demanded, and it will be represented by a movement along the curve. Change in other factors, which you can find in the textbook, such as income, population, taste and preferences, will cause change in demand, and that will be represented by shifting the demand curve. Same thing for supply. The law of supply states that there is a direct relationship between price and quantity supplied, again holding everything else fixed. And this will be represented by an upward sloping supply. Again, change in price will cause change in quantity supplied. So pay attention to these terminologies again on the test and the quizzes. And this will be represented by movement along the curve. But change in other factors that determine supply, such as technology, number of producers, expectation, will cause change in supply. And that will be represented by a shift in the curve. A shift to the right represents an increase. A shift to the left represents a decrease. In order to determine price, we need to put supply and demand together. And this will give us market. The equilibrium price is where quantity demanded and quantity supplied are equal. If price is above equilibrium, there will be a surplus in the market. And if price is below equilibrium, there will be a shortage in the market. So you need to know about surplus, shortage, equilibrium price, equilibrium quantity. If there is a surplus in the market, price will fall. If there is a shortage, price will increase. In the last part of this chapter, we are going to put supply and demand together and see what will happen if demand increases or decreases, or supply increases or decreases. Again, I'm just going to show you guys one example here, but there are additional examples in the book that you may look at. So let's say we have this market, and if the question says income increases, remember income will shift the demand curve. If the question says technology improves, remember that will shift the supply curve. So income increases, this will cause demand to increase, and also remember that this applies only to the normal goods. You show that increase in demand by shifting it to the right, and this will cause equilibrium price and equilibrium quantity to increase. So this was the initial equilibrium, and this is the new equilibrium. So this will cause equilibrium price to go up and equilibrium quantity to go up. So make sure you know how to determine the effect of shifts in demand or supply on the equilibrium price and quantity. Thank you.